What's good? You guys already know who it is here. I'm Powerlifting Fitness, King of Physique. Today I'm here with Ashlee, and we're gonna go talk. I got a few questions for her. I didn't really plan them, but we're gonna see what happens. And we're gonna get a shoulder workout in after. I'm not gonna show you guys the workouts yet, because I wanna get another collab with her soon. Because obviously you guys see, she's up there. She's up there.
A little bit, I don't know.
Yeah.
I wander in every so often.
Yeah, of course. But I'll see y'all. You guys already know who I am.
So, it took me a second. I am Ashlee Main. I'm an IFBB Pro, a figure pro. I'm also a fitness entrepreneur is what I call myself with that, because I have a couple of businesses in a few different avenues. So that is me.
Okay, dope. So, question, I plan on getting into bodybuilding, you know, men's physique overall, the next year or so. What did it, like, I don't know how to really put this in words. What was the process for you to get to where you are today as far as, like, you know, IFBB Pro? Because that's dope.
So there's a lot. Okay, so when I, before I started working out, I was doing runway for a while. Since I was like 12, I was doing runway.
That's crazy.
And I've always been, you know, really tall and fairly naturally really skinny. And then obviously add on top of that, when you're dieting to, you know, model, you're essentially like a walking hanger. You don't really have a whole lot of say if you're trying to, you know, book shoots about what your body is going to do and what you can really do with it. And I actually was an athlete a lot of my life as well, but I couldn't put on a lot of muscle. So with trying to do that and also still trying to, you know, book shoots, I had a lot of like joint pain and I felt tired a lot and all those things. And then after I got into college and everything, kind of took some time off of that, and then I came to LA because I wanted to look at a couple of agencies that were here. At the time, I was mainly modeling in Texas and in Florida. So when I came here, there were a few people that I went to go see, agencies I went to go see, and one that was like my top one. When I walked in, they were like, look, we like everything else. We like your height, we like your look, all those things, but we want you to lose another 2 inches on your waist and 2 inches on your hips. And at this time, before a shoot,
that's crazy.
I would eat celery and peanut butter. That's it. And the reason for that is because there's a little bit of protein, there's enough in the way of carbs, but fats are gonna be helping you stay a bit more satiated, but they're not going to pack on a whole lot of anything. And celery is obviously a negative calorie food. So nothing on my body, no muscle, not really much in the way of fat. There's literally bones, you can see my hips. And I was like, I can't lose anything else. And I told them, I was like, where specifically? And they're like, just lose 2 more on your hips, doesn't matter how you do it, and then come back and then we'll talk. And I was like, so essentially you're telling me to further starve myself I'm done.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So after that day, because that was my top one, I was like, if this is my top one and they're telling me this, I'm kind of done. So like the next day, I went to 24 Hour Fitness. And I did that because my dad was a bodybuilder for some time. He did powerlifting for some time. So I saw how his body was able to be changed. And it was something I kind of always wanted to do, but couldn't do it. So I was like, you know what, I'm letting this thing go and I'm gonna go towards this. And I remember going to 24 Hour Fitness and wanting to work out and wanting to do these different things. I knew that, again, to build, I had to lift weights and I had to eat food, all those things. But at this point, I didn't have any certifications. I didn't have any really experience, because again, any training I did before was not for that. So the first day I went to 24 Hour Fitness, there's like 2 levels. The first level was all cardio equipment. And the second level was all weight training equipment. And I remember going in and saying, okay, you know what? You're gonna do 15 minutes of a warm up on the treadmill, and you're gonna go upstairs, and we're just gonna move a little bit and see, you know, what we're doing. And I remember doing that, and the weight room being on top, someone must have been deadlifting, because I remember hearing crashing thunder. And I was like, I don't want to go upstairs. Like, they're lifting all that weight, and I have little sticks for arms and legs. So I ended up actually doing cardio for a whole hour because I was so afraid to go upstairs.
Already. So you was already like, that's crazy. So you was already still skinny where you were at. And you still were doing like cardio for like.
And so there was that. I was doing cardio because I was just like, I was trying to work up the nerve to go up, and it just wasn't really there. And I was just, the reason I was afraid is, yes, amount of weight, I was gonna lift was not gonna be that much, but also I was self-conscious of myself not having an experience. I didn't want someone else to tell me what I was doing was wrong, or I didn't want to take up space, because at the time I didn't look like I trained. Whereas now, if I go somewhere, you can clearly tell that I train. Toot my own horn. But
okay.
Let's be real.
No, you got to.
But yeah, so there was that, and then the next day I was like, okay, that's not what you wanted to do. Like, just go. And I ended up getting one session with the trainer, because at the time I couldn't afford anything else. So I got one session just to get something, and feel comfortable at least with going up there, which I highly recommend anyone doing. If you do not feel comfortable going to the gym, do at least one session or a couple with someone. Makes you feel more confident, and you know where the stuff is, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
So after that, I was like, okay, well, I can't afford a trainer. This is what I want. And I decided to get a certification to teach myself. So that's what I did. I spent like a whole year, honestly, which I don't always recommend this, but I spent a whole year only doing that. I only, lifted, I studied, I lifted, I studied, I got all my food in, all these different things. And by the end of about like a 6-month period of doing that, there was a judge actually that worked out at my gym. I didn't plan on competing.
Yeah, exactly.
But this judge was like, I've seen you since you first started, and now, she's like, you've made so much in the way of change. And she's like, are you trying to do something? And I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, well, are you trying to compete, or like, what is the purpose? And I was like, I don't know, I just wanted to do it just to do it. But I was like, I haven't thought about that before. And she's like, well, I judge for NPC. And she's like, if you're not doing it, I would really recommend it. And I was
crazy.
like, okay, we'll see. And there was someone there that wanted to sponsor me, actually. It was an apparel company at the time. And they were like, hey, we've seen these changes too. Like, if you want to do this, then we'll sponsor you for it. And I was like, okay. Well,
I think I might have to go to that gym for a little bit so I could,
Yeah, I was like, well, we'll see, okay. And for that show, again, I trained myself for that show, which again, I don't always recommend. You learn the hard way with a lot of stuff. And that was a bikini that I did my first time. And when I did bikini, they told me, hey, your shoulders are a little bit too big. And I was worried about not having enough muscle, actually. So I placed 4th there. After they told me that, I was like, well, you know what? The next thing up is figure. So even if bikini didn't work out right now, I didn't do poorly. But even if that didn't work out, figure is a much better match for me. And then when I did figure, same thing. I was kind of afraid to even compete because I didn't think I had enough muscle. Sometimes what you see in pictures is not what you see in person of people.
100%.
So I was like, what if I don't have enough? And I ended up winning that show. So the progression, to get back to the question that you had, the progression was me not even trying to do it, and then getting to the point where I was like, okay, this could be something to focus on goal-wise for me. And then being afraid to do that first show, but still just doing it anyway. And my mindset was, even if I don't win, I'm gonna learn something and I'll get better.
That's true.
And sometimes you'll surprise yourself. You'll do it and you'll do better than you thought. Or even if you don't, you learn things. Like again, that first show that I did, I learned something. Maybe this is not my division, figure's my division. And then competing in that for some time, I got up to the point where I qualified for nationals. And then I took a little bit of time off just to run my business as well. Because when I compete, it's all of the things I do. So I did that. And then I took some time off. And honestly, one of the people that kind of helped me get back into doing it was Dexter Jackson. You know who he is, right?
Yeah, of course.
Mr. Olympia, all different years.
Which is crazy, because I have yet to I need to go to a comp just so I can see it, because I actually never even watched the comp yet.
Oh, that I would highly recommend it.
Only on YouTube, but never in person. So
it's different. And it sometimes it helps you to see it, like mentally. Just there's that visualization. Oh my god, I cannot talk.
No, it's okay. Don't worry.
So you seeing it is going to be helpful for you doing it, and you feel less nervous about it. But Dexter reached out to me. I know his daughter. My sister's in the Air Force, and so was his daughter. And he's seen me a couple of times as well. And he's like, if you're not competing right now, why? Why are you not? You did so well before. Why didn't you ever go to for your pro card? And in my mind, again, it was that I wanted to get to a national level, and that was my goal. And then, I ran my business, and it was fine. And then after someone like that comes out of the blue, it's
you have to.
Why are you not doing this? And I was like, maybe, do I want to do it? Do I want to do it?
Yeah.
It's gonna be hard. And he's like, look, if you need any help with it for posing, whatever else, he's like, let me know. But I think you should do it. And I was like, all right, we're gonna do it.
Yep.
So I had to requalify all over again. So essentially you have to, you know, win your regional show, national show, and then you go to your to get your pro card. And yeah, I ended up getting it.
That's
so
right. Well, congrats on that.
Process. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
So
yeah.
for somebody who's allergic to, I know you was going back to like the peanut butter and celery. What would you suggest for somebody who's allergic to peanut butter? Because like for myself, I'm actually allergic, so my protein intake's a little bit different. I have to like find other foods around that. But for that meal specifically, what would you suggest?
Is it nuts in particular?
It's everything besides almonds.
Oh, okay. So you could do an almond butter.
Yeah.
But honestly, so is it the flavor you like, or not really?
It don't really matter. I'm force feed it whatever I do.
Oh my god, it's so funny because when friends ask me like, "What do you want to have like for dinner or whatever else? What do you want to eat?" I'm like, "Let me just see what I gotta do. Like, how many macros do I need, and then that'll dictate." So how I see nutrition is this. When I first started, I didn't have a whole lot in the way of information and certifications that I do now and experience as I do now. That when I first started, I got into this cycle of eating things that I saw other people eating and kept hearing, whether it's like peanut butter or chicken breasts or whatever it might be. But there are a lot of other options. You do not have to get all of your macros from specific foods in terms of like superfoods or the ones that you see as being quote unquote healthy. What could be perfectly fine for someone else would maybe not be for you. So like for example, if someone is asking like, you know, about peanut butter, like what would be an alternative, I could say something like that, you know, like almond butter or, you know, cashew butter, depending on what you're actually allergic to. But it doesn't even have to be any of that. It can be something completely different. You can get your fats from, you know, chicken thighs to the chicken breasts or olive oil or whatever you want to do, as long as at the end of the day your macros line up and it's food that's actually going to be good and conducive to your body. Then that's what you want to focus on. But if there's a flavor you're looking for, there's always another option. I think it's really cool because now there's a lot more health conscious food with people in mind that might have allergies as well.
Yeah, most definitely.
So yeah, there's
I've noticed that a lot too out here in general. Like in Boston, half the stuff I've seen out in LA with like protein pancakes and all this other stuff, I've never seen it before or heard of it. So it's just crazy. Like being out here just introduced me to something completely different too. So introducing into something completely different. Have you ever done a powerlifting comp, and would you?
Okay, so the gym that when I am in Bakersfield, because again, I come back and forth, but when I'm there, the gym that I train at is National Academy of Strength and Power, and they are predominantly a powerlifting gym.
Oh, that's crazy.
All of my friends are powerlifters there, and they try to get me into it. And like I will say, you know, not all bodybuilders, their focus isn't strength all the time. It's primarily, you know, size or again to lean out. But I do actually like to lift a lot of weight. Like I like both. But for powerlifting, the point of your lifts obviously is the amount of weight within a given rep range, whether it's 1 to 3, whatever else. And with powerlifting in general, the sport as a whole, the point is to get the bar from point A to point B in the easiest way possible, whether that means that you overarch, you know, enhance your arch when you're doing your press so it's less of a distance, or you change your stance for your deadlifts, whatever it might be. So training for that is like a whole other thing. I can't say I haven't thought about it, but we'll just have to see. It's a complete shift, but every time I like bench or deadlift, because those are my strongest ones, then there's always one of them that's just like, you sure you don't want to? Like, so I'm not saying I'm never going to do it. I never say never for anything. I think it would be cool to compete in a couple different avenues. And I was this close to thinking, okay, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna prep for a comp. And then I was like, yeah, but I want to focus on my leg growth more. Like, so
you don't see yourself doing like one, like just one?
Honestly, I think at some point I will probably do one. When, I'm not sure, but I would really be surprised if at any point in my life I did not do one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I
at
hear
some
that.
point.
One of my friends, he used to power lift while I was like getting started into fitness. So I would go to the gym with him, and he would actually make me just do like his lifts and the way he trained. So I'm in love with deadlifting. Benching, a little iffy.
Really?
But yeah.
Why?
I don't know. Some reason,
no reason. Just don't like it. Don't care for it.
Squatting, you know, I'll do it if I have to. But
do it if you have to.
But
if it's required.
If it's required. But as far as deadlifting, something about deadlifting I just love. I feel like I'm the strongest with deadlifting, of course. That's for most people too.
I see. Yeah.
Honestly, for myself personally, if I was to, I don't know if I would do a powerlifting. I would probably do one.
Yeah,
but I would have to at least do a few physique, men physique comp before anything.
Okay.
Powerlifting would probably be in the next 6 years. 7 years, like after,
Yeah. I mean, you could always, again, you can always do both. There was a woman that went to my gym as well in Bakersfield. She did a powerlifting competition and a bodybuilding competition the same year.
That's crazy.
And she said she would never do it again.
Yeah, of course, that's crazy.
But I was like, geez, But, like I said before though, like for you can always try something and then just see how it progresses.
Of course.
Sometimes you'll try something, you're like, okay, you know what? I just feel like I'm gonna shift into this just because you want to. And that's what's really cool about just like fitness as a whole, is you can change your training off of what you want and make your body do what it wants, and it can keep shifting like forever. But it'd be cool to see if you did do one.
Hopefully one day. I don't know. Maybe we'll see.
Maybe we'll see. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. We'll see.
Okay, so let me see. I want a hard question for you.
What? What does that mean?
I want a hard question. Because usually I would like write down my questions, but because of the little technical difficulties, I didn't write anything down.
No, you're good.
But
you're good.
I like it when it flows anyway.
Yeah.
So for people getting started into fitness, what would be like your best advice?
So,
like for all the newbies, like would you be like, y'all should go to Planet Fitness, or like y'all should go to like some hardcore?
A huge fan of Planet Fitness.
I'm not either.
I don't want to trash on them.
No, I trash them. Every single video I trash them. I hate Planet Fitness, just straight
Here's my thing, is that like I try to not do it, but like then I have friends who are like, but I really like it. Have fun. But I don't like it at all.
No.
I've been to two, so I know all the things. But I've been to two, so I know it's trash.
Yeah, 100%.
But no, okay. So I would say if someone is starting, have like a goal of what it is that you want. And it doesn't have to be something purely physical. It can be how your joints feel, it can be how your energy feels, because that's what's gonna dictate how you see your progress. I'll tell you this story because this is what I mean by this.
Yep.
Is that when I first started working out, again, I wanted to gain size, right?
Yep.
I wanted to grow. I wanted to get, my legs growth and my arms grow, all those different things. I wanted to just have a bit more size. And I remember working out and getting on the scale and being mad when it wasn't going down.
Yeah.
Which makes no sense, because if you're growing, obviously that's more size, and I didn't have a whole lot to do anything with at that point, so all it's gonna do is go up.
100%.
But if you have the goal of that, and like, hey, my goal is actually to grow, it's to gain size, you don't wanna focus on the scale going down. You don't even wanna focus on the scale as a whole, honestly. Primarily, you wanna focus on how your body is responding, whether it's in terms of the weight that you're pushing, or whether it's in terms of like your measurements, how your body, looks in the mirror, feels in your clothes. Those are the things you want to focus on, because if you see something else, you're going to think that you're failing, but it's not the right progress point for you to even focus on. So whether it's growth or leaning out or strength for, powerlifting or whatever it might be, or sport that you play, or just your overall health, like if you want to have your cholesterol a little bit better, your BMI a little bit better, then that's what you want to focus on. Because again, if you don't see it right away, and you're not going to see it right away, you have to have those little things to focus on to help you know you're going in the right direction, so you can build up to that. When people first start, you have these stages of behavioral change that you go through. And the first part of it, in terms of you doing what's called the preparation stage, it just means that you need to have these things to help solidify your confidence that you can actually do it. And those little goals are what helps. And I kind of put this into perspective for some people. You have this big goal, right? But you want to make sure you're tracking these things and celebrating those wins, whether it's you keeping track of your workouts and seeing what you're pushing in your weight, or whatever it might be. You're going 3 times a week and now you're going 4 consistently.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like if you're on a plane and you see that your route is from, let's say, California all the way to New York, right? And you look at it and you're like, oh my gosh, that's so far, that's so displaced from where I currently am. It feels like you're not really moving too quickly. But then you like zoom in to where you are and you realize how fast you're actually going.
Yeah.
And it keeps you motivated to know that you are going in the right direction. You are actually still moving. You're not there yet, but you will be if you stay on this track. So that, I would say, is the biggest advice I would give to someone who's first starting, is keep zooming in and then have those goals in place that actually make sense for the result that you want. And allow that to help you know if you're moving in the right direction or not, and keep you motivated.
Okay, dope. So mental health is, I think that's going to be like the theme of 2022, because it's very important. And you know, going through COVID and everything going on now in general is impacting people negatively, and we've seen crazy things happen with like a few pageant, like, did I say right? Pageant? Yeah, pageant, you know, like models and all that stuff. So what can you, like, what advice can you give to everybody just about mental health, like and adding it together within like your fitness, like journey and everything?
Yeah.
Like what can you give, like? So
I'll say this, is that for me, fitness as a whole has been really, really helpful for me mentally. And it always refreshes in some way. And then, you know, there are some other things you can work on with. Like, it's actually really interesting. There's a lot of studies coming out now about how our brains were affected by the shutdowns for COVID.
Yeah.
And we're not even sure what's going to happen later, how we were really affected. So, you know, there's some things that they're noticing, but long-term wise, it'll be interesting to see, you know, what actually, you know, comes to all those studies too. But I know for me, when the shutdowns were happening, I stayed inside. I was being as careful and cautious as possible, but I really missed, you know, the community in terms of my friends that were, you know, at gyms. I liked going to a gym, leaving my house and going to, and I have a home gym now, but I still like to leave to do that. And it was such a big part of my day. And as a whole, even if you're not someone who like competes, or, you know, this is like your space, it's still good to like get outside, you know, move your body. It's still good for your bones, good for your joints, good for your hormones, good for your mental state to still do this stuff. And when it wasn't really there to go out and do that, it was really hard. I did some inside stuff too, you know, I think we all did, but it wasn't quite the same. So now being able to do those things, it's been a lot better. But in terms of like your overall mental health, like getting back to those routines and appreciating them, I guess, in one way, is a good focus. And then, I mean, as a whole, I think in terms of some people also mentally getting into this, I know that sometimes it can feel overwhelming when people first start. Okay. Like for me, it was overwhelming to not have it after having so long, and then getting back into it was a slow process as well. But if someone feels like they're first starting this, and like, again, you feel really overwhelmed, taking those, again, little steps to keep you from feeling like there's too much change at one time is really helpful. Because I know that for some people, like mentally, like even for some clients that I have times where I really have to keep reminding them, like, we're going slow for a reason. Like, not slow, but slower for a reason. 100%. Because if I throw all this stuff at you, like if you don't work out at all and now you want to work out 5 days a week, you want to log your food 7 days a week, you want to do cardio like for 2 hours as a whole for the week, it's going to feel like a lot of stuff around.
Stressful. 100%.
Around even like, you know, if you have family, your kids and stuff like that, it's stressful around those things. So you have to slowly build this stuff up. Even again, when I had that time where we were going through those shutdowns, I had to slowly get it back in as well. Again, I knew what to do, but that as a whole makes it easier to do all of this and still keep your mental health intact. Because if you feel like you're failing because you're going too fast, that's something you haven't really gotten to work on yet, it's gonna make you feel not that great confidence-wise. Because confidence you build up over time after accomplishing these things and fortifying them. That's what builds self-confidence and self-efficacy.
Yeah.
But if you haven't gotten to do that mentally, you might feel not that great about yourself.
Well,
so yeah, those are some things to kind of focus on. Is just slow build.
Yeah, okay. So I don't know if this happens to you, but this happens to me a lot with social media influencing, with fitness and everything. I tend to I'll take a week off from the gym sometimes, because it'll be like, and it won't be like every month, it'll be like probably once every 6 months, because I feel like with social media it gets so stressful with keeping up with content, keeping up with what people want to see from you and being the image that they want to get themselves to. Do you ever find a time where like all of it gets stressful for you? Like, cause I know like, even like during bulk season, where I love bulk season, cause I feel the strongest. I feel like I don't do cardio.
This is when we're shooting all the content.
Yeah, like I don't do cardio. I'm good. I'm chilling. Like my stomach's out. Like, like I'm happy. Like I'm the happiest. If I could live like that, I would. But I don't. But the disrespect I get on social media is crazy.
Disrespect.
Because like they'll really like, and this happens all the time too. Like I've had followers follow me since the very beginning, and they still say the same thing. They're like, "You're losing yourself." I'm like, "How?" So it stresses you out to a point where it's like, damn. You look in the mirror like, damn, do I still want to do bulk season still? You know what I'm saying? Like, and so is there a time where like it gets stressful for you being a social media influencer and being in fitness and like just doing all that stuff?
Oh my gosh, it really does. Okay, so like
business owner at that too, like all that stuff together.
Yeah, so like a couple of things. I'll say this before shutdowns, because I'm gonna say why I'm talking about this in a second. Yeah. Before shutdowns, same thing, you know, when you're competing, you bulk and then you cut, and then you bulk and then you cut. And typically I really only compete like once, maybe twice a year. Yep. I don't do it super often because I need to be able to keep a number of things. Your body needs to be healthy. You can't fluctuate that much and then expect your body to keep doing it. Yeah. But I did it to pack on enough size that actually would make a change from show to show. And the time where you're bulking, you know, I stay relatively lean when I bulk. I do it in like a progressive way, which is why, again, I don't compete super often. Yeah. But there is still the thought where even if it's just you, like projecting, the thought of like, well, my abs aren't as good. Like, no, like I'm not wearing any sports bras for any videos. It's just tank tops and you can see my arms and that's great. And leg, that's fine. But, and when I would, you know, cut, I was like, all right, only sports bras. We're going to get all the ab content. But, you know, sometimes, again, I would say that, like slightly be vulnerable with some people and be like, oh yeah, you know, I'm not cutting right now, so I'm not really wearing a tank top or whatever. And they're like, what are you talking about? Like, you still look great, you still look healthy and things like that. So partially it's in my head, but also there are the, you know, trolls on social media who 100%. Like still always when I say something, you're cutting, and they're like, well, you're getting too skinny. Or you're growing, and like, oh, well, you know, you looked a little better when you were leaner. Yeah. So there's always that, but you know, it wasn't a big thing for me until after, one, the shutdowns. Because again, you know, I had some weights, but not close to what I usually lift. Yeah, 100%. And even with that, you know, when we're inside and you're not moving around as much, your appetite's lower, you know, you don't feel as good because you're not going outside. You have like that slight depression happening. I think everyone had that. And then I started my business also in the middle of COVID. Which I did too, because honestly, I feel like that was the perfect time too. There's so many people saying like they couldn't do anything, but if you had an entrepreneur mindset, COVID was like the perfect time for you to really revamp and build yourself. I feel like within like a business and growing everything that way. Well, I mean, so the one I had before, still have now, is my online personal training business, my, you know, in person, and then who I work with on social media and stuff like that. But I started my apparel business, and the issue with that is that my manufacturers are having shutdowns. My fulfillment was having some shutdowns, and you know, you can't do anything about it. You can't do anything about that. So we had those things causing more stress, and I did a lot of the stuff. I have a team that I built out now, but a lot of stuff myself when we first started. And it requires a lot from you. It's not exactly like having a child, but it's kind of like that. You have to like help this thing walk so you can, you know, keep moving. So I had all those things, and I lost a lot of muscle. Like I lost a lot of muscle. I lost a considerable amount of strength because I didn't have again access to the things I had access to before, and I was having a lot of stress from these things.
Yeah.
Whereas usually I'd work out maybe like 5 days, sometimes 6. I was doing like 3. So it wasn't a lot, and then again, I wasn't eating quite as much. I was still staying healthy, mind you, but it wasn't what my normal was. And at the time, I was okay with it. I was like, okay, you know what? This is what I have to focus on. I'm still gonna do these things. This is still something I'm passionate about, but I have to lean back a little bit to do these other things as I need to right now.
Yeah.
So as I was doing that, and again, still staying healthy, still saying what I would say could be more fit than the typical person I still had people like—
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
I still was having people like, someone commented, I'm worried about you, you're getting skinny. I'm like, you don't even know me, but you're worried about me? You've never commented that I know of ever before, but you're okay.
Like, where you come from? Like,
yeah, like, okay. So I had that, and then I had like a couple of friends tell me that too. They're like, so what's your focus now?
Yeah.
I'm like, this is not, it is, but this is also my focus.
Well, definitely.
So it's just like, there's that, and it makes me feel self-conscious. Like there was a time where I was like, okay, I don't even want to do photos right now, do pictures, because I don't feel like I'm my normal self.
Yeah.
But your normal self is what you need from it in the moment. It doesn't have to be for anyone else.
Yeah.
It's just for you, and you do what you need to do while, again, you're keeping the truths to yourself still there. Again, like, I still love to do my workouts. I still love to eat healthier, all those different things. It just wasn't as much as I was doing before. And then after I got to the point where I built out more of a team and, you know, things kind of cooled down, then I was able to build everything back up. And at that point, I was able to kind of actually sit and think to myself, what is it you want out of your body? And then let's go ahead and start doing that again. So after that, you know, it made it a little bit easier for me to not have to worry about those things. But there is still that, where like after you've been doing something for a while and you have to seemingly lean back, even though you kind of don't really want to, you can get a little more self-conscious when someone is saying it to you, because you're a little bit more vulnerable at that point in time.
That's true.
So yeah, it definitely happens. I know a friend that she was competing for a while, stopped competing completely, and she's gotten so much hate on her Instagram because, you know, people were, yeah, like I was talking to her about doing like a Q&A. I don't want to say who it is, but I was talking about her doing a Q&A, and she's like, well, she's like, honestly, she's like, I'm not doing those right now because every time that I try to do something, there's people who come up and they're like bashing her for not working out the same way. She doesn't not work out, but she's at the size she did before, and people really go in on her for it. And you would think, some people don't think of it in terms of like someone looking fit, that no one says anything to them. Yeah. Yeah, people still do.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, they still body shame you if you're too big, too small, whatever else. So it definitely still happens. It's happened to me. But I think when you keep in mind, because that's the first time that's happened to me before. So it was different, you know, territory for me. But when you keep in mind that your body is yours first, and you can do whatever you want to do with it and have it feel like it's still your home and yours, it makes it easier to not worry about what they have to say.
Yeah, okay. And this is gonna be the last question because we gotta get this workout in.
Okay, I know.
Raise your shoulders.
I'm giving long responses, I know.
No, you're good. No, these are perfect responses. Last question. I personally think, and it's weird because I'm into social media influencing and fitness influencing and all that stuff. I honestly think now, since fitness is huge in social media, I think a lot of it's fake as hell. So would you be able to elaborate on that? Because some people, and it sucks, because I used to do this when I first started getting into fitness. I would go on the social media, and this is why actually I don't follow a lot of people. So if you notice, I barely follow anybody, and people get so mad at me about that. And it's not personal, but I used to catch myself comparing myself to others all the time. So if I don't know you, or if I don't know you, we're not friends, we're not family, I'm not following you just because I don't want to catch myself comparing myself. Because you know, comparing yourself to others, it causes stress, and it really makes you like depressed when you see like, okay, they've been training for 3 years, I've been training for 3 years, why don't I look like that without knowing the full details of their backstory? You know what I'm saying? So what can you like elaborate on as far as like fitness and social media in general? Again, like I said, I think most of it's fake as hell because you got the lighting, you got the 100%, you got you know the supplements now that enhance everything. Supplements. I'm not gonna get too much into it. You know, you got the Capri Suns like juice and you got all that stuff. Like, what can you elaborate on that for yourself? Like, what's your opinion on this fitness social media influencer?
Well, okay, a few things. And also just real quick, I saw your post on someone saying like the audio of like someone thinking that you're all the time. I get that. And
I'm gonna be honest. As soon as I went to your page, I was like, okay, she might be.
No, I am not.
But I also keep an open mind because not even just like this was before I heard that audio.
Yeah.
But keeping in mind, like I also know people that have never been.
Yeah.
And their physiques are crazy. Like I'm not actually. This is one girl. I'll say her name. Her name's Addison. I follow her, and her physique. I'll show you too. Her physique is crazy. She maintains like 10% body fat. She's part of this brand that I was a part of. I'm not saying their name, but
forget y'all.
Forget y'all. But like, so many people think like she has like butt plants and all this other stuff. But like, so I keep an open mind to it now.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to lie. I definitely looked at your page. I was like, yo, she's big as shit. I was like, yo, she's been working, but I don't know what she's been working.
Let me tell you a couple of things. Now I'm gonna get back to what your question was. Your initial question.
Oh shoot.
So, okay. I had this video I put out a while ago. Now, let me go ahead and just preface this real quick. Again, when I started competing, I didn't have a coach, right?
Okay.
And people don't talk about it openly when you're looking at certifications and whatever else. You're looking up what the process of getting into a competition. I never had someone telling me you need to take these things, right? So I didn't have that. And then after I did that my second show as well, I trained myself for that to my own. I didn't train my first show, all these different things. It was all bad, but I still placed well. But I say that again to say that no one told me about any of this stuff. And honestly, it wasn't until my second time doing figure that I didn't have a coach, but I had a mentor at this one gym that I was at. His name's Phil Williams, and he was like an IFBB, he still is an IFBB Pro. He had one of the biggest backs in like history. And he was working out at the gym that I worked out at, and he knew I was competing. Other people there were also competing, and he knew that I did my show, and he's like, well, show me how it went. And I placed second. I didn't win that one, but I placed second. And I was trying to figure out why, because I was like, I feel like I looked really good. What I need to change, what I have to focus on. And I was showing him the pictures of like the comparisons, and he pointed out, he's like, all right, she's on this, she's on this, she's on this. And I was like, what do you mean on? Like on what? And he's like, oh, like gear, like are you not taking any? And I was like, no. Was I supposed to? Here's why. Because people would ask me about figure. They're like, well, bodybuilding, like, what? Don't you have to take stuff? And I was like, no, that's why I like figure. Because figure doesn't have to take anything. Because it's something that a woman can honestly achieve without any of those things.
Absolutely.
And it was after that show, I was like, okay, like I didn't realize that people were out here taking stuff. I just didn't. And then getting into my next show, before I competed into it, there was someone else. They were doing powerlifting, and they were telling me, they're like, are you taking anything? And I was like, no, I'm not. And they're like, well, you're gonna have to. You're gonna have to. And I was like, okay, but people said that before, and I still placed well, or I won. Exactly. So it became this like thing with me, and even getting into my pro show, there was still always someone who was telling me like, you have to take it. You're gonna have to. You're gonna have to. Otherwise, you can't level up. And it became this thing where I was like, I want to see what my body can do. And like, I don't knock anyone from taking it. Like, I don't know, whatever. Do what you want to do. I don't do it personally. Yeah. And the reason for it with me, and I know I'm going to get some shit about this, is because I know it doesn't do the work for you. I know it doesn't do the work for you. Yeah. But I want to see what my body can do on its own. On its own. Yeah. With me pushing it. And like I said before, when I compete, I literally do everything. My sleep is regulated. My food is all weighed out. I do not miss any meals. I do not miss any workouts. I do every single rep like it's my last fucking rep. I do all of it. I pose 2 hours a day, all those things, and I win. And I haven't taken anything. So I say that again to say that I know that there's that out there, but I think the biggest reason I feel like I get that comment about taking things is my shoulders.
100%.
Because if it were my legs, nothing.
Yeah,
not like,
100%,
oh,
100%.
she's on. The only reason that I think I get stuff about that is because I have big shoulders.
Yeah.
And honestly, my frame as a whole, I have wide set shoulders anyway. I'm a big person. I'm like 5'10" and a half. I'm gonna be a big presence no matter what room I walk in because I'm just big.
Yeah.
And I think because people have that where I'm tall, I have wider set shoulders, which I used to hate, but I love now. And I build my shoulders up. It looks so different than what you would see as like maybe a typical woman might look like, who also still works out, but that's not their focus. But because of that, I think is why I get it. But like I said before, yeah, I'm like, okay, look, I don't take anything, but if you think I do, okay, well, good on me. Look at this. This is me. But if you think that, oh, whatever, you think what you want to think, but did it all on my own.
It's a compliment at the end of the day.
I
feel like someone's gonna get offended when they are, when they
exactly.
on it.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm like, you do whatever you want to do,
I think that's
and
lit.
again, I know it doesn't do all the work. So I put it that way. That like, also, even if you are taking it, it's no one's business. That's you and whatever you have to do.
Yep.
And then again, I know it does not do all the work for people. So when people do say that also, of like, oh, this person's on gear, they still have to lift that heavy weight. They still have to go in and do it. You don't take it and then nothing, do nothing and all these things pop up.
Exactly.
So it's not that, again, I'm not judging anyone else that does it. This has always just been a thing with me that I want to see what my body can do on its own. It's just that. This is my body. It's just my choice with that I want to see what it can do on its own. And every time that someone's told me that, oh, I have to do this thing, and I've excelled past it, it's like a little motivation for me. I'm like, okay, like someone told me I couldn't do this thing and I did it anyway, and I want to keep doing that.
Oh, of course,
so
prove them wrong.
Yeah. But sorry, to go back to your question.
No, so the question was basically, it's just like, how do you feel like about social media, like fitness social media, like
yes,
as far as like it being fake and like all that stuff, like what's your opinion on it, since you're an influencer yourself?
Yes, so I have a few points on it. Same thing, I do the same thing where I go through and I kind of clean out who I'm following.
Okay.
And I do it for a few reasons. One is, I think sometimes when you are looking at social media and you have your own presence you want to put out there, sometimes you can be susceptible to mirroring something that you see because you know that it's doing well for them.
Yeah.
So you might be tempted to kind of do something similar, whether it's the way that you speak, your cadence, whether it's, your intro, the topics you talk about, whatever it might be. And I feel like there's like a certain tone that a lot of people have when they do videos or content that isn't mine. And nothing's wrong with it, but I think with me, I have a level of what I would feel like is I have some feminine energy and I have some masculine energy.
Okay. So you're like an alpha female, alpha woman.
I mean, you could call what you want, but I have times where I know I can come off masculine, and there's times where I know I can come off very feminine. Okay. And I feel like there are some times where I see some women that are very, very feminine, and nothing is wrong with that.
Yeah.
But it's sometimes if you see that and that's not what you are totally, then you might be thinking like, well, maybe I need to do a little more of this because it's working for this person, but that's not authentic to you. So because for me, again, I know that about myself, I have to unfollow every so often because otherwise I'll catch myself like speaking in that same way and I'm like, no, what the fuck? That's not how I talk. Like, or, someone's like, oh, well, I don't curse. Like, no, I fucking curse.
Yeah,
so I'm not gonna follow and then see those things and then now have it get into my head.
Yeah.
So I'll do it for that reason, so that it makes it easier for you to stay authentic to yourself. Because again, outside influences are what can affect you. So I have that I try to focus on, and then there's the other side as well, where like there's just fake stuff out there that you don't know what this person's actually doing, what they actually look like with different lighting. And again, do you? But if you're like comparing yourself to someone and I'll just go ahead and say it. There's someone, I'm not gonna say who, but there's someone I was like, oh, they have like an amazing body. Yeah. And I ended up seeing them and I'm just tooting my own horn because I work on my body really hard. And I was like, oh, I look better than them.
Yeah.
Like, not in my own mind, because of what I want to do. I would see them and I'm like, oh, that's like the goal. And it's cool to still see that and have that as something to kind of, you know, help motivate you. But when I was there, I was like, oh no, I am my goal. Like, they look great too, but it's not what I thought.
Yeah.
And it just, again, sometimes it kind of helps you reality check in terms of like, not everyone looks this way. Not everyone's flexing all the time. Not everyone's pumped up all the time.
Yep.
And proportions are there too. Again, I'm bigger than the average person, so if I go to check next to someone else, I'm like, oh, your muscles aren't as big, but you're just not as big of a person.
Yeah, yeah. That's
so there's those things there. But yeah, I'll just kind of, you know, clean stuff out every so often, and then again, I'll keep that in mind that like, even in, you know, my own photos, if I'm really pumped up and my arms are pumped up, my arms look bigger than they are just walking around.
Well, yeah, that's, you know.
Yeah, you're like, well, no, they're big.
Well,
Oh, they'll do that, and I'm sure if people see me again in person too, they're like, oh, maybe her arms aren't as big as I thought, or whatever else, or she's bigger than I thought. So yeah, you keep that in mind with everything, whether it's with someone else or with you too. But yeah, you just got to keep that in mind with social media. Not everything is real. People Photoshop stuff. Lighting again has a big factor on things, proportions, all those things. So again, really all you can do is just like, okay, I think everybody is beautiful. You know, I don't care where it's at. If it doesn't look like exactly where it was, like you're still working on yourself and it still look like that at one point in time.
Yeah.
So, you know, you just appreciate all those things and then just, you know, appreciate what you're doing and what your body looks like and not try to make it look like someone else's, because their body is theirs. They look the best that they can at their body. You have to look the best that you can with your body, with wherever that is.
Facts. Okay.
So yeah.
That's really about it. You know, once again, this is Ashlee, y'all. And we gotta go get the shoulder workout in, and that's really about it.
Trying to get like these shoulders, right?
Yeah, right. I gotta build my shoulders. But for the most part, y'all have any questions, DM me, comment down below, whatever. I'll put her, you know, her IG and all that stuff down below too. Anything?
At Ashlee. Oh no, thank you for having me today. It was great talking to you.
Of course.
Try not to come for me too hard in the comments. We were talking about, but yeah, if
that
you want to find
Fitness
me,
is definitely gonna be like the trailer for Instagram. Like,
someone's gonna not like this.
I got so much to say about Planet Fitness off camera, but we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that one.
Okay, I'm here for it. But again, thanks for having me today. Ashlee Main is my handle. But yeah, it was great talking to you today.
I bet. That's it. Yeah.